Hello and welcome to the Eric and Liz show. Hello, Liz.
Hello, Eric. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. And I'm seeing you have that really nice vacation background going.
Oh yeah. Hey, this is just wishful thinking. I can't wait for spring and summer.
Yeah, I know. And I know, and people are thinking, hey, those guys are in San Diego. But you know what? We are like one of those people, it's like, yes, we have that winter going on, and it feels like winter for us because, it's in the low 30, I mean, not Fahrenheit. It's in the low 50s, 60s. And
Mhm.
for us in San Diego, that's pretty cold.
Right. So, we're so used to this warm weather. And then as soon as it gets cold, then we're like, oh my goodness, we're just all bundled up.
I know. But it's very interesting that you have that background because that brings us to our guest, actually, Dr. Monica Hinton, um, who is in the mental health industry and is going to talk to us about, what can we do, with that COVID tightness. And one of the things is choosing virtual backgrounds like you have, to keep yourself going and motivated. So
Right.
without further ado, let me get Monica on board.
All right. Let's let Monica in. I'm looking forward to having her today.
Hi,
Hey,
Hello,
Monica.
let
Monica.
me get my camera on.
All right. Oh, look
Hi,
at
You
you.
are.
Beautiful.
Hello.
thank you.
You look gorgeous.
Thank you.
I
Let me
love
let my
that.
chair down a little bit. So there we go.
So, Monica, I wanted to do a little self-care today. That's why I have the beach behind me.
Oh, lovely.
Uh,
Yes, absolutely.
we thought um, in these times, now we've been nearly in for a whole year,
Oh,
into
gosh.
that COVID thing. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, it's February 2021, we were just starting to be, the world started to lock down,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and we had you on the show shortly after, and we were speaking a little about, what people can do and so on. But now, after a whole year, you know, people are starting to really get depressed.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. The rates of depression have gone up. The rates of addiction have gone up. The rates of um, child abuse and partner abuse has gone up because people are depressed and isolated and at home, and it's been a year. um,
Yeah.
so we all are suffering from COVID fatigue,
Yeah.
including myself. And
Wow.
the only benefit I have is that I actually still have a job to actually physically go to. So
Mm-hmm.
I get to leave home and come back, whereas there's so many people that are still pretty much stuck at home.
Wow.
And so, yeah, there's a lot of depression,
A
and a
whole
lot
lot.
of sadness, a lot of frustration, and a lot of confusion because there's been lots of confusion about, do we have the vaccine, don't we have the vaccine, do we have enough of the vaccine? And so it's
Right.
really important for people to get the facts so they know what's going to
Yeah.
be and make the right decisions for themselves about the vaccine.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
me personally, I would just give people the advice, maybe to watch Reuters, because Reuters is an international news service, and just to get a global idea what's going on, and then they might be better understanding what's happening in America right now. I mean,
Hmm.
it's not just that there is a distribution problem, quote. It's no, there is actually a worldwide problem to get the vaccine, um,
Hmm.
say, to the consumer. I
Hmm.
shouldn't call it the consumer, but
Right.
Uh, it's just getting it there that seemed to be so difficult. And even I think that people were very optimistic at the beginning of the year. Now there's this soberness
Hmm.
settling in. I have like older parents in their mid 80s, and they won't get a vaccine till mid-March.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wow.
Well, they are in Germany, but that's how long it's going to take till
Oh my
it's going
goodness.
to be administered there.
Mhm.
So it's not just our problem; it's really world problem.
It is. It's
Wow.
worldwide. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. That's the crazy thing. But you know what? I want to introduce you, Monica. We haven't, even though you are a recurring guest, we have today with
And I know
us,
you.
yes, Dr. Monica Hinton, behavioral health therapist at let me see, I'm sorry, SHARP
Chuck
McDonald Center.
McDonald.
Yeah,
Hmm.
SHARP McDonald Center. Welcome back, Monica. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
Thank you.
Yes. And
So
also, Monica is the president of the San Diego Chapter Association of Black Psychologists
Yep.
as well.
Yeah.
Yes, so I know you stay pretty busy these
I stay
days.
pretty busy. I'm also on the board of the San Diego Psychological Association. So
wow.
Oh my goodness.
I stay busy.
I'm
Yeah.
sure you do. You stay busy. Yeah, you
Me
have a
and
full
Zoom, me
plate.
and Zoom are good friends now.
Wow. So
So
do you see your clients on Zoom too?
Well, my job at Sharp McDonald Center isn't really face-to-face client work. I actually fight insurance companies.
Oh,
So, so my job is to call the insurance companies to get more time and days covered for our patients while they're in the program. So it's a different yet same sort of
wow.
work. And it can be pretty frustrating, especially if you have a patient that's sitting in front of you or are in the program and they need more time and more help, and the
Mhm.
insurance is saying no. So yeah. So
Wow.
so the way, and I do addiction, so the way that looks now with coverage, that it used to be back in the 90s and even before, that a person would get a straight 98 days or a straight 30 days. Well, that's a thing of the past.
yeah.
Wow.
Now they give you so many days, and then every 4 to 7 days, sometimes 8 days, depending on the insurance, you have to call back and then justify why that person needs to stay in your program. So it's a difficult job at times.
Wow.
So yeah, so you really have to stay on top of things and go review the chart, review the case, interview the therapist, interview the doctor, the nursing staff, and create a
Mhm.
picture of what's going on with this person to justify why they still need to remain in your program.
Wow.
Hmm.
So you said earlier that addiction has gone up.
Yes.
So you and let me play stupid here
Okay.
because um so you should think that it is harder actually because of restriction and COVID to actually get out and put your hands on those drugs.
Well, not necessarily.
Yeah,
Some
that
drugs, some drugs you can actually mail order. There are some people that will actually deliver the drug straight to your door. But what makes it harder is that programs, for example, our program initially,
yeah.
we could only take in so many people because of COVID. So we had to cut down half the amount of people that we could take in.
Wow.
Then one of our programs, we had to to cut back on because we couldn't risk people coming and going from the facility, because that would put folks at risk of, getting positive and not knowing and then coming in to the facility. So we had to do a lot of restrictions on our program, and then that affected the number of people we could admit and serve. And then on top of that, because of the close downs, many of our patients who go to AA meetings or NA, which is Narcotics Anonymous, couldn't go to meetings, and they couldn't socialize. And a huge part of recovery is really increasing your social network, creating a support system of sober people that are around you, that are going to be there for you when you're going through some troubles. Well, everybody was going through troubles at the same time. Many people even lost their jobs because of the COVID situation, and the AA meetings couldn't be held in person. And so it really was a domino effect. And so this past year, we had many people who had had some sobriety actually come back to us because of either job loss, or even if they didn't lose their job, maybe their hours were cut and they had just time to be at home, or and being isolated. Now, AA did decide to go online, so they do Zoom meetings, much like what mostly everyone has done, but you still really don't get that human touch and human connection that's really, really important when you're going through recovery. And so it just really made it far harder for our patients. And you could still go to the grocery store, and the grocery store has every possible alcohol you could possibly want.
Right.
So it was still easy to get the alcohol, but if you want to
talking about it, cheers.
And the dispensaries remained open, and like I said, with the other drugs, there were ways to mail order. There's ways to get it. So the fact that people were expected to stay at home does not necessarily mean you can't access drugs and alcohol. So
So that's the fact that marijuana is now legal in California. Play into that too?
Well, I mean, people do get addicted to marijuana just like any other drug, just like alcohol. So with it being legal, I don't know the statistics, so don't quote me, but in terms of people coming to our program, I'm not seeing any difference. We're not seeing we're not seeing more people using marijuana and becoming addicted. If anything, we're seeing less, to be honest with you, because it is legal. And so because it is legal, there's not the legal challenges that go along with marijuana. And, the reality of it is, when people smoke marijuana, they sit at home anyway.
Right.
They're not going to a bar trying to drive home. They're already at home.
Sit at home and eat up everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Are we stereotyping here?
Yeah.
Being the lonely stoner at home, all by myself.
So all by yourself, and then with the ease in which now it is to have food delivered and munchies delivered from like even the convenience store, it's just easy to stay at home and smoke. So I can only speak of my program because I don't know what other facilities are seeing, but we're not getting as people are using marijuana along with other things.
Right.
But that's not the main reason they're coming into treatment. So that's what it's looking like lately.
Okay. Okay. Well, I wanted to talk about a few other things as well. I wanted to tap in to Black women and how we are feeling a little bit. I wouldn't say, I'll just dive right in. We normally don't like to get political or, you know, try to make anyone uncomfortable, but certain things need to be talked about. And you're the perfect person, because there may be someone listening, how, you know, Black women are feeling a little insecure and not protected, honestly, because, you know, of things that have been happening in the past. And I just want you to give us a little bit of insight on that and, you know, ways to cope with that.
Do you have a specific question? Because that's a huge
that is
umbrella.
that is a huge umbrella.
So
well, I guess to say that, you know, certain issues, you know, are coming up that, you know, more different races are more protected than Black women are. So just, you know, you can touch on that just a little bit if you can.
Well, I mean, historically, let me back up. Historically, African Americans were always seen to not need as much protection and assistance and help anyway. So, you know, when we think about the disparities in healthcare and the disparities just in terms of pay and salary, all of that is still present, is still going on. If you know, watch the news during COVID, you've seen where African Americans have died far more frequently than any other race of people. I've even experienced that even in my own network of family and friends, where in Texas, we had a friend who had COVID. She had the virus, 42 years old now. She had the virus. Her family called 911 to go to the ER. And they said, oh, well, she should be fine. She'll, you know, just have her rest. She's young. She'll be okay. She died that night.
They actually said that to her on the phone?
On the family, when they came out to the home. And they checked her out and they said, well, you know, she's young, she's 42, she should be okay. And she died that night.
Wow.
Yeah, in the house. So so it's situations like that happens to us over and over and over again. The rates of infant mortality and new mothers among African American women, those rates have, you know, have always been high, but this past year has really put a light on things. I'm just going to speak from history. African American women were just made to hold everything together. So because we were, you know, we were the nursemaids to the slave owners' children. We, you know, took care of the house. We took care of the family. We held things together, and we've always been seen as the glue to the family. And even in business, when things go awry, and if there's a Black woman there, it's like the Black woman is the one coming in to fix things. So, so we have this stereotype on us as the strong Black woman. So with that gives the impression that we don't need to be saved. We don't need to be protected because we're strong, we're tough. And we all fall into that trope. Even I do, you know, even I feel like I can step in and save and fix and correct and manage and and not allow myself to be sad or be needing some support or needing some help. Just always having the persona that you have to protect and save everyone around you. So,
Right.
and that's the role that we have kind of taken on
Mm-hmm.
because of the generations of being
Mm-hmm.
taught
Mm-hmm.
that that's what you do.
Right.
Hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and then even in my own family, my father used to also always tell me, no one's coming to save you.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You know, and then
And
even
it's the
referring,
truth. It's
and it's the truth, and
it's
even
truly,
referring
yeah.
to us as a Black African American community, no one's coming to save you. You're gonna have
Right.
to do this on your own. And so having been taught that,
Mm-hmm.
all of that lives in us
Mm-hmm.
as Black women. We live
Right.
with that generational teaching,
Mm-hmm.
and so and that's another reason why we typically don't go see a therapist or a
Right.
counselor,
Exactly.
because we
Yeah.
have this belief that we don't have time for therapy.
Right.
We got too much to do. We got too much
Right.
to take care of. We don't have
Exactly.
time for that. So because it's not always, many times it is about funds and insurance, because
Mm-hmm.
therapy is not cheap. And some people just see it as a luxury. And
Right.
so when you're in that space, and that
Mm-hmm.
space, and that colonization space,
Mm-hmm.
then that's how you carry yourself in the world. And then so it's sort of like two things happening at the same time. We as Black women carry ourselves in the world that we're strong, and
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, society, and I'm just really going to speak of here in the United States,
Mm-hmm.
believe also believes that we are strong, and that we don't need the extra care or need the extra support. So
Mm-hmm.
then we run into this situation where we're always the bottom of last person on the ladder
Right. Exactly.
consistently.
But it is very, very important for women in general to get, some kind of help or some type of counseling. Because like
Hmm.
you said, it used to, seem like, oh, we don't need counseling, but we do.
We
We
do.
do. We
We
do.
do.
To help
We
us
do.
rationalize things and.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. And it's not so much of rationalizing, it's being able to connect the mind, the spirit, the body, and maintain a certain level of balance when you're going through all this chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Because chaos is always going to happen, right? It
Right.
really doesn't matter. Somebody, last year was really chaotic in the world, but
Mm-hmm.
um, but let's say that didn't happen. Let's say that there wasn't COVID. Let's say that there wasn't um, all the riots that took place. Still, people still died. People,
Right.
people still had car accidents. People
Mm-hmm.
still lost jobs. People still had health problems. And it's not so much of learning how to manage things, it's more
Mm-hmm.
learning how to move through these situations.
Mm-hmm.
Because you'll stress yourself out trying to manage and control, because we
Right.
can't.
Mm-hmm.
I can't manage and control the person in the car next to me, but
Right.
I can drive the best way I can drive to get where I need to get as safely as possible. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not really about trying to manage and control. It's more about trying to move through what life has given you, bad or
Mm-hmm.
good.
Right.
So that's really what it is. So
Mm-hmm.
those are the tricks to learn, because we can't, there's no way we can manage everything. It's too much to try and manage.
Right. Exactly.
Hmm.
I would agree with that. But it's very insightful,
Mm-hmm.
um, to see what problems, are. How shall I say, you know, every particular person have their particular problems. And it's very interesting to hear Liz speaking about, Black women and, what, may I use indoctrinated?
You can use that word, yeah.
That you get that, from your parents, and you get this certain role, stamped on you. In this case, being that strong Black woman which can solve all the problems, and has nowhere to go, because
when we have a problem.
Right, exactly.
So we're either strong or angry.
Right. Right, exactly.
That is funny. That's what you see on the other shows. Oh my God. No, but that's very, very interesting. And I think people should just be more mindful and also educate themselves a little bit more about, especially, here in America, it's such a multi-colorful,
right, like
ethnic, everything, country. And being myself an immigrant, it took a while to understand what America is about. Sometimes I'm still like wondering, especially after the past 4 years. I was like, where are we going? Because that's not the America that I came to.
Right.
But the reality is that through having had a president like Trump, in the most negative, positive way, it brought out the worst in people. And I think in going forward, I hope it's going to give people more opportunity to deal with the issue.
I agree.
I think a lot of stones have been turned here.
I think so too.
I agree. I think that, not to interrupt you, but I think
no.
because of COVID and because people sat at home and watched TV, they got to see the murder of a man whose skin was Black.
Yeah, you're referring to Floyd, I guess.
Whose skin was white. And that's something that as African Americans, we've been saying for years, decades, a century at least, that's been happening to us. And people minimized it, didn't really believe it because it didn't happen in their world, in their pocket of where their world was. And I think having this illness, forcing people to sit at home, people watching their TV and seeing that, and then saying, oh, that's what they've been talking about. Just really woke everybody up. And so I do agree with you that all of these experiences together allowed us to see a lot about our country and in some cases ourselves. So, I was listening to something the other day and a man was saying how, 2020 vision is perfect vision, right? 2020 allowed us to see a lot.
In
the country and in the world.
That's interesting. I like that analogy.
Yeah. So, it
Absolutely.
did. It did. Yeah.
And
go ahead, Liz.
Oh yeah, I was gonna I know this is probably, I wouldn't say not your subject, but just to shed some light on like the vaccine, there's a lot of, in the beginning, a lot of Black people, we were afraid to take the vaccine because we're thinking, well, something's in it or whatever. And I'm not here to tell you to take it or not to take it because that's not my role. Me personally, I can't take the shot, but everyone has to do their own research on taking the vaccine. And, you know, a lot of people who actually get COVID, it's been found that they don't have a lot of vitamin D, you know, so we need to also be educated on that, you know, certain little things and, you know, building up your immune system. But still, you know, as far as, you know, taking the vaccine, everyone has to be their own judge, you know, with that, do your own research about it, because you do need some type of protection.
You do.
You know, you do need some type of protection. So,
so, well, here's the thing. I had COVID and I've had the injection. So I had COVID in the early of the year. I had it the first couple of weeks of April. And my brother had it. And so that's what encouraged me to go to the doctor to see about him. And then I asked them to test me. And so then revealed that I had it as well. So my COVID experience was, I have to say, I was one of these people that was asymptomatic. I had very few symptoms. I had a fever one day. I was super, super tired, maybe a couple of days, 3 at the most. I had diarrhea one day. I never lost my sense of smell or taste. That never left me. And so, but then my brother had it and he was really sick. He was so tired, he could barely get out the bed to even go use the bathroom. And literally his bathroom is literally next to his bed. Like you get out of his bed, his bathroom's right there. And he told me he was too tired just to even do that.
Wow.
Yeah, so he lost his taste, he lost his smell, he, you know, just the all of the symptoms. And then me, nearly nothing. So, and we're blood siblings, same parents, everything. So it's really hard to say how the vaccine is going to react with you, because literally everybody's different.
Right.
I do know in the Black community, we are hesitant because of all the research that has done on Black bodies historically, and been manipulated, that and with the disparities of healthcare in the United States, we just are very leery and don't trust you know, doctors. And you know, it's and I'm not going to say we don't trust at all, but especially when it comes to something like that, even myself, for a while, even I was like, I don't know if I want to take that,
thinking twice.
Because I don't know what's in it, and I don't know what's going to happen. So I had to do my research, and I think what helped me, to be honest, was to know that there were Black female scientists involved in the research and the creation of the vaccines. And the first woman in New York to be injected was an African-American woman. So I said, okay.
Right.
So, but when we look at things like the Tuskegee Institute, I'm trying to get it out of my brain, the syphilis study. That syphilis study went on from the 1920s to the 70s. So think about how many generations went by as that study continued. And you had Black men thinking they were getting treated, or they were just, you know, gathering information, but they were actually either getting syphilis or being given syphilis, and just being watched to see what would happen to their bodies.
Wow.
Even prior to then, Dr. I think is, don't quote me, it's not Dr. Cartwright. I can't think of the
off the record.
Huh?
I said off the record.
Yeah, I can't remember the physician's name, but the doctor who's well known as the doctor of women's health used slave women to study and investigate. And at the time, ether was created to use as an anesthesia. He didn't use an anesthesia because Black people don't feel pain.
Wow.
Yeah. So historically, we have been mistreated when it comes to medical situations. So that's why, and I know people will say, well, that was so long ago, and why are you fearful? But during the COVID, I just told you a story where I had a close family friend. The child died, 42 years old, because they felt like she was fine. So, and then there was another physician, African-American female physician, had COVID, went to the hospital. They barely treated her. And her last recording was
I saw that.
That this was the hospital in which she worked in as a doctor.
Right.
And she was told she was not good enough for the treatments.
Yeah, I saw that. I thought that was, it literally made me cry. I just couldn't, certain things I can't believe it. Like, I mean, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
really.
Yeah.
So, and I saw her,
So these incidences and these things continue even today. So hence why the anxiety and the fear was present. It was there. So and I work, as you know, I work for SHARP healthcare system, and since we are first line staff people, no matter whether you're a doctor, nurse, doesn't really matter. They made the vaccine available for us. So I went ahead and did it. I just said, well, let me just do it. So
I was a little fearful of my husband getting it because he's a nurse. And he said, well, he said, I'm getting that vaccine as soon as it comes out, and he he got it. I mean, the Pfizer, and it was in, 2 segments, and he's fine, But like I said, we need something to combat the virus. We need to do something. So everybody just have to do their own research.
Well, I'm lucky. I'm not lucky. I'd say I can have it. I know that, Liz, you do have, just issues there that you can't have it, because it puts your life in danger. But I make sure I get it so I can see you and you don't get COVID.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
Exactly. I think, the thing that I think is a little sad is that no 2 counties, no 2 systems have the same delivery process, So yeah, which kind of, I have to say here in San Diego, we're probably more fortunate than many areas, because there are a lot now. As of this week, the Del Mar Fair grounds it's now another super station to get vaccinated. And so here in San Diego, we county in all, I think we have now 4 to 5 locations where you can get vaccinated. And the state rolled out the My Turn website. Are y'all familiar with that? The My Turn website?
I'm actually not, no.
I never heard of that.
So My Turn, it rolled out, I want to say a couple of weeks ago. And what you do is you just type in My Turn, you Google it. And then, so it's a website. It'll ask you a few questions like your job and your age, and do you have any health risk? And then it'll let you know if it's your turn or your time to get the injection, get the vaccinated. So, and I think it's myturn.org.
Okay.
So people can look it up. And the state of California rolled it out, like I said, about a couple of weeks ago. They're doing it here in San Diego, LA, and I think Sacramento. So right now it's still a bit of a pilot, but it seems to work, because I've already had my injection, and I went on just to see if it would work, and it does. And I was like, wow, that's cool. So
Wow. Are they making it, is it free of charge for
it's
people who, oh,
well, for us it was free of charge, and the regular community, it's free of charge.
Yeah, as
So,
far as I know,
yeah.
the vaccine is free.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not
Yeah.
free, but the government is paying for it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Yes.
well, yeah, slowly getting it under control. But like I said earlier, go on Reuters News, have a look what's happening in the rest of the world, just to for people to get really the picture. You know, this is a global problem.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is. It
You know,
really
it's
is.
so incredible. And I don't even want to, you know, it's so sad that we call them people in the third world, but they are even more affected. They have nothing. You know, they unfortunately, you know, they don't even have ventilators in the hospitals. You know, find yourself, you know, in Syria, Palestine, Ethiopia. I mean, it's sad to see what is happening. People sometimes they, how shall I say, you know, I just look in front of my doorstep and don't go further. I mean, I don't want to say that there is any solace there, no, but I think it should actually make yourself more passionate about the actual issue.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. You know, we here in America, we are very fortunate. Even and
No, you
please
can
don't
say,
take me
even with
wrong.
all the issues we
Even
have,
with
Right.
all the
All the
issues
issues.
and the chaos and the, and I've traveled a few places in the world, and I remember thinking, wow, even our homeless people have it better. They, they still have options if
Right.
they,
Yeah. Yeah. That's
so
true.
there are options, there are services, there are things out there that they can access. And again, not perfect, but I remember thinking one day, man, if I had to be homeless, I'd much rather be homeless in the United States than any place else, because
Right.
I would have options. And
well, it's true,
so,
and it sounds weird, but
mhm.
when you see all the soup kitchens, you know, homeless don't go hungry in this country.
No, no.
And even if you see, you know, the people with the signs, you know, I, I how should I say, you know, I'm a Rotarian. We are very active there and so on. And unfortunately, there are people which choose homelessness over other things. But then there are the peoples which are propelled into homelessness, and that's what that you know, like Father Joe's here in San Diego, are there the soup kitchens. People can get support if they want it,
Yeah,
but you
yeah,
have support.
yeah. There, like I said, there are options.
Right.
But at the same time, COVID, I'm sure, has affected,
Oh yeah.
so many
Oh
people
my God.
with,
Yeah.
and once this settles down and passes, I'm just really hoping that people are able to get back on their feet and not have to use those options any longer. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, but so yeah, so those are just my thoughts on that. But it's a struggle. It's still a
Yeah.
struggle.
Right. The thing about COVID is you don't know how it's going to affect you. You know, I know a couple of people have had it, and I've called and I've checked on them. So how are you doing now? And they said, one person said, just out of the blue, she'll just be really tired. It'll just hit her. You know, it's like you don't know, and it's still trying to work its way out. You know, so you still have to continue to take care of yourself, because we don't know the long haul about COVID, you know, how it affects your different organs. You know, it really does affect you in different ways. But like you said, you had a mild case of it, which is, you know, that's a blessing.
It is.
Yeah. But for a lot of people, you know, they're having to have transplants, lung, you know, just a lot of different issues, you know. Yeah.
So it does affect each person differently.
Yeah, exactly. So
any other thoughts or questions for today?
I think, I mean, from my side, plenty, but you know, we don't want to, you know, just keep on going, so we can have you back.
Okay.
You know,
right.
here. So I'm going to be not tired of asking you questions. And thank you so much for being on the show today.
You're welcome.
And just if someone experiences a mental health crisis, and who could they turn to?
Okay. So there are many options out there. So first off, I'm going to say, if you are employed and you have health insurance, find out two things. If your company has a EAP program, and that's an employment assistance program, they will provide short-term counseling for you. And also, whoever is your insurance, call your insurance and ask them, what sort of mental health services do I have with my plan? And then that can direct you where to go. With SHARP, we have an EAP and we have mental health services on our plan. So if I needed to see a counselor, and I have used it, I have two options. I could go the EAP route, or I could actually go see, and both of them are therapists, so it doesn't, you know, really matter which route, but you want to ask about that option. If that does not work for you, then I would suggest people calling 211. And, you know, 211 is the resource line, and it can, if you have Medi-Cal or Medicare or nothing at all, then they can kind of help direct you to community services. If someone doesn't want to go that route, Psychology Today has a really good database of therapists in San Diego County. Actually, the way they have it set up, it's all over the United States. But what you would do is that you would specify by county or by city, by zip code, by the type of service you're looking for. So that's a way to find. Then if you particularly need a Black psychologist or a Black therapist, there are some here in San Diego, and I would just say to email me at the Association of Black Psychologists at our email address, and that is AB size San Diego 13. Let me double check. Let me look that up. Give me one minute.
That's okay. I will find it.
Yeah, we'll put the information up for you.
I will post
okay. All right. So they can email the organization, and we can pass some numbers and some people to them as options. And yeah, so that's how I would go. But I would first start with your insurance. If you have insurance, first start there. So because it really depends on what your need is. And you have many options of the types of people to see. You can see a marriage and family therapist, so that would be an MFT. You can see a social worker, so that would be LSW. You could see a psychologist, so that would be someone with a PhD or a PsyD. Some people may just have addiction. Well, I'm not going to say just have addiction, but some people may, feel comfortable with seeing someone who, the term used to be CADRE, but it's not anymore. It's a late LDAC or LDAC, I think it is. But that's also an option. So there are lots of providers of all sorts in San Diego. So it just really depends on what the person is looking for.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we certainly enjoyed having you. Would you like to add anything to today? Would you like to add anything?
For me, I would just say definitely find some ways to relax and center yourself. And again, think about moving through your problems, not trying to control them. Learning how to know that they're happening, and this is how you're moving through that situation, not so much of trying to control every situation, because that will make you sick.
Right. That'll take a toll on you.
Yes, yeah, because it'll increase your anxiety, which then increases cortisol levels in your body, which then can turn to other health problems. So we don't want to do that. So so I would just say figure out ways to move through. One thing that we teach at McDonald Center is called GRAPES, and we tell people to do your GRAPES. And so GRAPES stands for be good to yourself, relaxation, achievement. P is, I think it's purpose. E is exercise. And then, oh my gosh, I can't remember what sleep is. I should have looked it up.
Well, it's okay. If I have an alternative for grape, it's called wine.
Yeah, but that again, I like my wine too, but too much of anything could be problematic. So definitely. So with grapes, the whole lot. So, and next time I come on, maybe I can just teach that.
Okay.
Cool. What that does is that it help if you practice it every day, it's a way to help you be centered and relaxed and achieve each day.
Okay.
And maybe achieving could be washing your dishes. I don't know, but it doesn't have to be anything grand. Just, each day there's a way to relax. There's something you're going to do for achievement, something you're going to do to center yourself. You're going to be kind to yourself and and not so difficult. And harsh. So practicing some self-compassion. So so maybe next time you have me, I can just teach grapes.
I like that.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And it's very easy to remember and easy to do.
Okay.
I have it down. Thank you so much. And by the way, I think Dr. Monica sounds so much better than Dr. Phil.
I do too.
That's cool.
Yeah, but we're both from Texas, so it's okay.
Right. Yes. So we will see you soon, Monica.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Bye.
Yeah, take care.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
We
And you
will.
too. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Well, Liz, how is your background?
Oh, it's wonderful. We're still recording.
Yes, we're still there, and I just want to say bye to all our viewers and listeners because
Yes.
they view and they listen to us, which I like. And to all our viewers, also please subscribe us. You know, it's wonderful to see that our numbers are going up, but subscriptions, of course, count too, and it gives us some validation. So continue subscribing.
Right. And then I'd like to add, if there's any subjects you would like to hear us talk about, or someone you'd like to have us interview, or if you'd like to be interviewed yourself, please send us a message and we will put our information, our email address in the link, and you can be in contact with us. And we would love for you to subscribe.
Okay.
All right. Take care,
See
guys.
you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, and happy Chinese New Year.
Happy Chinese New Year and happy Valentine's Day to all you sweethearts.